Hello everyone, it's that teacher here, and today's lesson is going to be on identifying simple fractions. Let's start learning. Welcome back to the channel everyone. Thank you for watching. Let's dive straight into today's lesson. So, understanding fraction parts is extremely important when you're learning to identify simple fractions. If you haven't already seen our previous video on the channel, I highly recommend going and watching that. I'll include it at the end. However, if you haven't watched that, I'm going to include just a quick summary of the fraction parts for your understanding so that you understand the rest of this lesson. Now, the top number in our fraction 1/4 here is called the numerator. Now, the numerator is the top number in a fraction and tells us how many parts of the whole number you have. The 4 in this fraction, the bottom number, is called the denominator. Now, the denominator is the bottom number of our fraction and shows us how many parts the whole number has been divided into. Now, this is the interesting bit if you're not sure. Now, the line separating the numerator and the denominator is called the vinculum. So if you want to go and quiz your teacher tomorrow, I guarantee you some of your teachers out there won't know what that is, and you'll get major brownie points for telling them what that is. So I highly recommend asking your teacher, do you know what the bar in the middle is called? And if they don't know, you can tell them it's the vinculum. Now, let's get straight into our lesson today. Now, identifying fractions is a beginning method, a beginning concept of understanding fractions as a whole. Now, I highly recommend if you get a question like this in class, what you need to do first is find the denominator. So we can see the vinculum there. Now, I haven't included the numerator or the denominator. Now, always begin by working out what is the denominator. It's just a little trick I teach the students in my class, and it's highly effective and makes the whole process of identifying simple fractions much easier. Now, you can see here that this circle has been broken into 6 parts. So remember, our denominator shows us how many parts the whole has been divided into. So the denominator here would be 6. So our fraction we're dealing with is sixths. Now, we need to find the numerator. So how many parts have been shaded? Now, this is quite a simple process. This is why I highly recommend identifying the denominator first. So now we're finding the top number. All you can do is simply count the pieces of the circle that are colored or shaded. So you can see that 5 pieces have been shaded, so that is going to be the numerator, how many pieces have been shaded. Now, the fraction here, you would have, and the answer would be 5/6, because you have 5 parts and your whole has been divided into 6 pieces or sixths. So 5/6 is your answer. Now, I'm going to walk you through a series of fractions which have all different denominators and numerators. I'm going to show you how to do this. So hopefully by the end of the lesson, when it's your turn to answer the questions, you will have no problem in understanding and identifying simple fractions. So we're going to start with the green circle in the top left. So remember, always find the denominator first, the bottom number of our fraction. How many pieces that circle has been divided into first. That's what we need to do. So you can see that the dark green circle has been divided into 3 pieces. Now, 3 pieces, so the denominator, if that denominator is a 3, your circle has been cut and divided into thirds. Now, we need to find the numerator. So how many pieces have been shaded? You can see that the 2 pieces or parts of that whole circle have been shaded. So the numerator here is 2. Now, to say that fraction is 2/3. So remember, if the 3 is the denominator, we need to say thirds, and you have 2 of them, so you have 2/3. Now we're going to move on to the orange circle below. You can see that that has been divided into 2 even parts. So the denominator, the bottom number of that fraction, which we always find first, is 2, because your circle has been divided into 2 parts. Now, remember, if your denominator is 2, it is a half. You have a half of a circle. So your circle has been divided into halves. Now, we need to find the numerator. So how many pieces of that circle has been shaded? You can see that one piece of that circle, one part of that circle has been shaded. So we put a 1 in the numerator position. So your fraction here would be 1/2. Now we're going to go to the light green circle next to the dark green and in between the purple circle. So the top middle circle has been broken into 5 parts. As you can see there, you just simply count them round. Now, if you want another tip, lightly put a mark with a pencil through every piece and go clockwise or anti-clockwise and stop when all the pieces have been shaded and count as you go. That's an easy way just to keep track of the pieces that you've counted so that you don't count a piece that you've already counted. Now, this denominator is a 5, so you know that it's fifths. Remember, anything after a quarter, we need to pretend we're in a running race. And if you came in position 5 in a race, you would have come 5th. Now, so it's broken into fifths. Now you can see here, this is an easy one. You only have one part which has been shaded. So your answer here is 1/5. So that's as simple as that. Now we're going to go to the dark green circle below. You can see that this circle has been broken into 4 even pieces, even parts. Now, when the denominator is 4, remember we need to say it has been broken into quarters. So if your denominator is a 4, it's been broken into quarters. Now we have 3 pieces shaded, so that would be the numerator. So your answer here would be 3/4. So you have 3/4. Now we're going to move to the purple circle in the top right. You can see that that circle has been divided into 5 even parts. So the bottom number would be into fifths. So the denominator would be a 5. Now, you can see that, remember, we count all the pieces that have been shaded. You can see that 4 pieces have been shaded, or 4 parts have been shaded. Your fraction would be 4/5. So you need to say it like that. Finally, our pink circle at the bottom, the denominator, so how many parts this circle has been divided into would be 7. Now the way to say that is the fraction that we're dealing with is called sevenths. So remember, 7 with a THS on the end, sevenths. It's a little hard to say, but with some practice you'll get used to it. So our denominator is a 7. We need to count how many parts have been shaded. You can see here, 1, 2, 3. 3 parts have been shaded. So your fraction here would be 3/7. So that's how you would say that. You have 3 and the denominator is in sevenths. So you have 3/7. Now, this is the last question that I wanted to show you. Now, if your circle here has been divided into 8 pieces or parts. Now, your denominator here is an 8, so we're dealing with eighths. Now, if you have every piece of that shaded, you have 8/8, okay? Now, 8/8 would be correct in some classrooms. However, the actually correct answer here would be 1 whole number, or 1 whole, okay? So if you have every part of the fraction, everything is shaded, whatever your fraction is, whatever denominator you have, if you have every single part, your answer here is simply 1, okay? So that's just in case you get a fraction that's completely colored, you have the whole piece. You have 1 whole, so your number is 1. Your answer would be 1, okay? Now, here are some questions for you. I thought I would include that, so go and get a piece of paper, work through it at home, and I'm about to show you the answers. As you can see, here are the answers for your fractions. Pause it back there and try and work out the answers and then go through it like this. Now, if you were successful, which I know you would be, you have made it Congratulations, you are ready to identify simple fractions. So thank you for watching this lesson. It's That Teacher. We'll see you in the next lesson.